Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's jump straight into it. So firstly, give us your thoughts and feelings. How are you feeling today after the game and the result? Didn't do a video yesterday, but yeah, get involved in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling. I'm still bouncing around it. I'm still absolutely buzzing. I thought it was a fantastic performance and a fantastic result, and much needed as well to give us, like nothing worse when you lose and you've got the full week to moan over it, and then you hear all the Amram out stories in the media and everything like that. So it's actually quite refreshing to get some positivity around United, and I'm a big believer that positivity spreads positivity. So we can continue this on, then even better for me. The big question mark still is though, can we do it against Brighton at the weekend? That's the big game now, isn't it? And I think all the reports and comments from the players and the manager and everything like that as well were, yes, it was one game, it was a good game, let's enjoy it, but concentrate on the weekend, because it will mean nothing if we go to lose if we lose to Brighton at the weekend, which our record against them is absolutely turd. So that would be a good boost as well to see if we can get a result against Brighton at the weekend. But yeah, get involved in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling still after the weekend. Are you still like me, buzzing around the result, or you on to the next one? Let me know in the comments below. Now, there are still tears that are being shed from the result of the weekend, none more so than from Arne Slot. Someone needs to buy him some tissues to dry his eyes, criticising United's tactics against them, as if like we're going to go there and play to their strengths, and like knock on his door beforehand and say, oh, how do you want us to play against you so that you can beat us? Like, what an absolute load of nonsense. So after the game, he said that Manchester United have a lot of quality players. They strengthened again this summer, and when they come here sitting deep and playing plenty of long balls, the last thing you want is to fall behind. If you do, if I told you that we'd create that many chances against the United side playing this way, I'd have said it was impossible, but we did. We just lacked efficiency. So Arne Slot, needs to dry his eyes criticising United's tactics against them, which I actually thought we got spot on. I thought Ruben Amorim has been getting and deserves a lot of praise and credit for the tactical setup. I think it worked to a T. We played to their weaknesses and to our strengths as well by flooding that midfield. Jamie Carragher did a good breakdown of the match on Monday Night Football last night as well, highlighting the game plan, and it worked to a T, targeting their fullbacks and playing those direct balls, but not necessarily contesting the long balls, winning the second balls, which are when you're playing against a team that are pressing and as good at pressing as Liverpool are, you're taking away one of their biggest assets and biggest weapons. And I have absolutely zero complaints around that. Like, my criticism of Amrim so far has been that he needs to do something different, to change something, just to tweak it. If you don't want to change the system and the tactics or anything like that, then do something different, because what he was doing was not working. And he's done it over the last couple of games, and it's worked, because we've got 2 wins for the first time, back-to-back Premier League wins anyway under Ruben Amorim, and actually we've looked a lot more confident in that sort of playing that more direct style. And I think it's going to do 2 things, right? One, it's a weapon for us to use to win the ball in midfield and get and create chances that way, because I think it's been effective and we're pretty good at doing that. But then also it will stop teams pressing us so high, because if they get accustomed to us just going long, they're going to be like, well, hold on, we need to try and deal with that. And then if they sit off and defend a little bit deep themselves, then we can play out from the back as well. And as we've seen against Arsenal in a few games so far this season, we're actually pretty good at doing that as well. So it gives you a extra string to your bow, whereby if teams then come out and try and press you man for man, we're like, right, okay, solid, we're just going to go over your press and win those second balls high up the pitch, and we can create chances that way, because we've got an overload, and the system allows you, when you play it right, you've got your wing backs that are creating the space, and you've always got an outlet there. But then if teams decide to sit deep, then we can play through them as well, but by doing that. So I think it's an extra string to our bow, and I'm Amrim is getting the praise for the performance and the result at the weekend as well. For me, a bit of credit for at least doing something different or trying to change things as well, because like I said, what we were doing before wasn't working effectively, and at least he's tried and doing something different in my mind as well. But obviously we need to back it up now. We need to see some consistent results and some consistent performances, because that's our biggest problem, is consistency, isn't it? But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, one of the other things that's been praised is the recruitment. So Roy Keane has said that you have to praise United's recruitment this season. We know the importance of recruitment in football. We have slagged United off for years about it, and we've asked who is buying the players. But the big plus this year is they have bought players who know the league in Cunha and Mbeumo. When you have a couple of star players up the pitch, it gives everyone a big lift. And this was one of my concerns as well, where I was saying before around new signings either bringing the level of the existing players up or the old players dragging the new players down. And we saw against Liverpool, it was the first, which is what you want. The new signings bringing the quality of the team up. And again, long may that continue, because for far too often at United, we've seen the opposite, where the older players or the players that have been there drag the new signings down to their level. And if we can continue with Cunha and Mbeumo bringing the levels up, then that just improves the quality of the existing players that we've got, because obviously we can't replace everybody in one summer or even 1 or 2 years to get the team and the squad that hopefully we want going forward to be more competitive. So if Cunha and Mbeumo can bring the players up to their level, then brilliant. And I thought we saw that as well, because Cunha is getting loads of plaudits as well, and rightly so. He had a really good performance, and Mbeumo as well. I think he's him and De Ligt arguably like our best performance I think so far this season. And Mbeumo and Ahmad's link up down that right hand side is definitely something I'm here for all day. Like the sex noises coming out of me when they play together is unbelievable, and long may that continue. But Roy Keane giving a bit of praise to the fact that, yes, getting Premier League proven players is massive, but then also Cunha specifically, but in fact both of them, I'll say that is their attitude, their mentality, good characters. And that was a change in transfer policy from United as well. So it wasn't just about getting Premier League experienced players, which is a big change for us, because for far too often we've ignored going down that route of getting Premier League proven players. We've always bought the players from overseas, and then they need time to adapt, and it doesn't always work and hasn't always worked. That's been our recent history in transfers, but also not the right profile of characters as well. Cunha looks like a real leader behind the scenes, and we've heard nothing but praise from him and his character and his personality as well. And Mbeumo's the same as well, good characters. So that shift in recruitment policy, hopefully we can see the benefit of, because I always thought at the start of the season we were going to be slow burners. Getting 3 new forwards in is going to take time to adapt, and hopefully we can start seeing a little bit more from them as well. But good praise there I felt from Roy Keane, and I agree. I think the recruitment specifically was a lot better in the summer, because I think Sesko's done really well since he came in, and Saint-Lamond is an absolute game changer for us. Like, how nice is it to just have a goalkeeper that can just do goalkeeper things? Like, he's not done, I don't think he's had to be specifically outstanding, but he's done everything we want from him in a goalkeeper, which is a night and day from what we had before with Onana and Bayinda, isn't it? And there's no coincidence that a competent goalkeeper comes in and all of a sudden for 2 games we win both games, because I think that is his character and his presence helps the defense, and people and the team look less nervous when he's playing in goal as well. And shout out to all of you in the comments from the summer, because I remember having these conversations with you, and we were talking about which positions we wanted to sign. And shout out to all of you for saying goalkeeper, need a goalkeeper will change, because you can see the difference that makes as well, doesn't it? But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, there's been a little bit of takeover news that went a little bit under the radar over the weekend. Now, this has come out from Jamie Jackson. Now, Jamie Jackson is a decent source of information in The Guardian. He's at the press conferences and stuff like that as well, saying that Eric Cantona asked to front Manchester United takeover bid by UAE consortium. Rooney and Beckham also on ambassadorial shortlist. Group is sinking finance before approaching Glazers. So, according to Jamie Jackson, he's saying that Eric Cantona has been approached by a consortium of investors based in the United Arab Emirates to act as an ambassador for a potential bid to buy Manchester United. Wayne Rooney and David Beckham are also on the group's radar for similar roles. The consortium is still being put together as it seeks the finances to firm up its interest in buying the club before it can approach the 6 Glazer siblings, who collectively are United's majority owners. The UAE-based group is intent on having prominent former United players as ambassadors as part of the process. So that's really interesting from Jamie Jackson, because while the takeover talk has gone a little bit quiet after all the giddiness and from Turkey Al Sheikh's tweet and everything that was going insane around the potential takeover talk, it still hasn't been put to bed. It's not been completely dismissed now, but there are a few more credible journalists suggesting that actually there might be something in this UAE consortium potentially trying to put themselves together, trying to get the money, trying to get things like ambassadors. So Eric Cantona, David Beckham, or Wayne Rooney, or former players involved to be ambassadors for their potential bid to come out and try to buy the Glazers. Now, we still don't know at this stage whether the consortium will get themselves together, because they might not be able to get the money or the capital together in order to make an effective bid. We don't know what the Glazers' appetite is to sell. It's going to take a lot of money. Chris Wheeler the other day was saying that the Glazers still value the club at over $6 billion, where its current valuation, I think, is around two to three, if memory serves me right. So they're effectively asking for like twice as much as what it's valued at the moment. They basically want $1 billion each, I think, for the club between the siblings, with them being six of them. So whether this UAE consortium will want to overpay for United by that amount, we don't know what Sad Jim would be. So it's a little bit early. So I think the Turkey Al Sheikh tweet was a little bit giddy, but it does feel like there's maybe something in this UAE consortium that are trying to put themselves together in a position to maybe take a bid to the Glazers, and then we'll just have to wait and see what happens from there, whether they would accept it, whether they tell them to jog on. We don't know. So it's not as advanced, but they're not as advanced as what it was believed. But there's no smoke without fire, and there's definitely something in that as well. But imagine that: Return of the King, return of Cantona back to United. And interestingly, all three of those players have been very critical about the Glazers and the ownership. Eric Cantona has, Wayne Rooney and David Beckham have all been very vocal against the Glazers as well. So it seems that they're targeting the former players that are very vocal against the Glazers as well, which might help them out a little bit. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now let's go through a little bit of transfer rumors. So I read this in ESPN, so they're saying that Manchester United are tracking FC Porto's Victor Froholdt alongside a midfield trio of Borussia Dortmund's Joe Bellingham, Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton, and Brighton and Hove Albion's Carlos Baleba, according to Team Talk. Denmark international Froholdt, 19, is seen as a cheaper option, given that Wharton and Baleba's transfers could cost upwards of £80 million, though the Sun says that Baleba is their first choice, suggesting that Brian Mbeumo has been quietly trying to persuade the 21-year-old to move to Old Trafford while they have been away with Cameroon, with the Red Devils winger being considered a big brother to him. So ESPN are citing a report from Team Talk. Now, Team Talk, I'm just going to say they are a rumour and a gossip outlet, but they're getting a little bit more mainstream now, where they're being posted by places like ESPN, Manchester Evening News, BBC, and these sort of places. They're one of these websites where they have some credible and decent journalists that write for them, and some not so credible and decent journalists that write for them as well. A little bit like Gimme Sport and Caught Offside, like one of these sort of places where they're generally hit and miss. This is one from a report, because I've read the actual report itself. It's someone I would still say take with a pinch of salt. So and it's not, it's not exactly rocket science. Joe Bellingham is a midfielder that we've been heavily linked with before. Adam Wharton and Carlos Baleba, we know about. I don't need to mention those names. We know what's going on with those two. But Victor Froholdt actually is a name that we haven't been linked with. So I'm going to put him up there with like the 15th midfielder, I think, so far. Now that we have been linked with as a potential signing for United. Very interesting profile of play, from the research and everything that I've done. He is a ball-carrying machine, I would say, from midfield. Like, looking at his stats and his data, the top 97 percentile for progressive carries and successful take-ons. He's rapid. He's absolutely rapid for a midfielder as well. Quite good defensively. We look at his interceptions and his blocks, and a bit of an all-action midfielder. 19 years old. Only just signed for Porto though from Copenhagen. Really interesting profile of player. Again, I'd want to see more credibility where the story's coming from and where the sources for this particular report, but I like what I see initially on the player. So he's one that I would pay attention to, but I'd want to see a lot more credibility than where that story is coming from, because as I mentioned, Team Talk they're hit and miss. Hit and miss is what I would say, and that particular journalist, like I said, is a little bit. Like I said, it's pinch of salt material is what I'm going to say regarding that. But give us your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Now let's go through. So he's not the only midfielder though that we've been linked with. So Sky Sports Germany have come out suggesting that Manchester United are interested in Angelo Stiller. Stuttgart internally value him at £43 million. Now, obviously, we do know that the midfield is the priority for 2026, whether that's January or in the summer, will depend on finances and budget and availability of players as well, because I can't see, it's going to take a lot of money for someone like Carlos Baleba or Adam Wharton, and I don't know if we've got the finances to do that, and we don't know the club's appetites. All the reports are that Brighton don't want to sell and Crystal Palace won't want to sell in January, so they're more likely going to be deals that are going to be this summer. I would say Elliot Anderson's exactly the same as well. It's either going to take a massive amount of money to buy him. He's got World Cup aspirations. If he just keeps doing what he's doing at the moment for Forest, then he's more likely going to get into the World Cup squad. So I don't know what his appetite would be to leave, although with all the changes that are going on at Forest, maybe he thinks, actually, do you know what it is? I don't want to go through all this sort of carnage with the managerial changes and stuff. And obviously Sean Dyche is coming in now. So is that going to benefit someone like Elliot Anderson? Who knows? But I can't see that one happening in January neither. Stiller, £43 million was a name that we were linked with in the summer. I think there was some bullshit rumours at the end of the transfer window, though, or on deadline day, if I remember rightly, from Sasha Tavalieri, I think it was, saying that United are in talks to get him, and then literally within a half an hour, Romano come out and said, yeah, no, that's absolute nonsense. But is a name that has been attached to us like before, was linked with us in the summer before that as well. £43 million for Angelo Stiller, that's not a bad shout, actually. If you can't get some of you, as long as he's one of your targets. Very good ball-playing midfielder, though, so a slightly different profile to like Froholdt that I mentioned before. He's more of a ball-carrying midfielder. Angelo Stiller is definitely one of those ball-playing midfielders. Got very good numbers in terms of he's in the top 99% off for progressive passes and top 97 for passes attempted as well. So he is more, like, I would say, different profile. So don't hold me to this, but more of an Adam Wharton, where he's a passing midfielder. Worry about those sort of defensive numbers as well. I don't know how that would translate to Premier League football, but interesting profile. Is a name that we have been linked with before, one that I'm going to pay attention to. But give us your shouts on that. What would you say? £43 million? That's maybe doable in January. Wouldn't be against it, but it depends on who United see as their priority targets and whether they might go for their priorities or wait for the summer as well if they can. So we'll have to wait and see. Good option though. I wouldn't be against going for Angelo Stiller personally. I think he'd be a great shout to bring in. It's just, is he as good as some of the other names that we're being linked with? But then how achievable is it us going for those other players that we're linked with as well? Because like I said, it's going to cost a lot for Baleba. Question marks over his form. Wharton, I don't think it's going to go anywhere in January. I don't think Anderson's going to go anywhere in January as well. The only other name I can think of is Hjulmland. There's been a lot of links recently with Hjulmland saying that Ruben Amorim loves him, and potentially they might be looking to go for him in January. But again, I want to wait for a bit more credibility from where those stories are being linked with at the moment. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Now let's go through a little bit of absolute bullshit. So transfer bullshit is the next part of the show. So Manchester United join race for out of favour Real Madrid starlet. So according to reports, Manchester United have joined the race to save Endrick from his Real Madrid nightmare. It has been claimed that Brazilian sensation has found himself frozen out of the Spanish giants. Real boss and former Liverpool midfielder Xabi Alonso is yet to hand him a single minute of action this season. As a result, the situation has alerted a number of clubs, including West Ham, Newcastle, and Juventus. Reports suggest that the highly rated Brazilian has owed his representatives, should that not say has told his representatives, he will have to leave the Bernabeu in the January window unless there is a dramatic change in his prospects. United is said to have shown interest in a 6-month loan deal from the start of 2026. The 19-year-old cost Real Madrid £61 million from Palmeiras in 2024, but has started just 3 league games and is reportedly increasingly desperate to leave. Now, if ever there was a story about linking Manchester United to a player just to put their name out there in the media and to grab attention, then I think this would be the example, because I can't see for the life of me and in any stretch of the imagination why it makes sense for United to do a 6-month loan deal for Endrick, someone that hasn't played and clearly needs development and is not the finished article and is not ready to come in. Like, why would we loan him for 6 months? Because if he's not playing for Real Madrid, then what, you think he's going to be ready for Premier League football straight away? I highly doubt that. I don't think it's a position. I don't think we would go anywhere near Endrick for a 6-month loan deal. Why would we do Real Madrid a favour to strengthen an area that we don't really need to strengthen in January for a player that's not got any minutes and not playing football? He's going to need like a mini pre-season to get himself match fit. Anyway, we've got other options up front. Cunha, obviously against Liverpool, we saw can do a good job there. We've got Sesko, we've got Cheeto, who you could play there. Joshua Zirkzee, you could do a false 9 with Mount or Bruno. Like, I would do any of those before taking a risk on Endrick coming in if he's not getting game time at Real Madrid. So that for me feels exactly like bullshit. Lincoln United with an extravagant name to get views, to put United out there for what reason, I don't know. Could be to generate interest, to get his client's name up there, as it mentions West Ham, Newcastle, and Juventus. So it just feels like absolute bullshit to me. So I'm going to file that in the BS bin. And then I saw this from Dean Jones as well. Dean Jones, I rate. I think he's quite decent when it comes to United news, saying, according to transfer expert Dean Jones, Endrick is not the type of striker Man United are expected to target. So Dean Jones said the following: I don't think Endrick is the sort of profile United would look at in January. I have been reporting that they want a striker in January. I do believe explorations around that are beginning, but I get the impression it would be of a different profile to Endrick. He is a player that needs game time and to build confidence, but United can't promise that. They want someone to back up and rotate with Sesko and Cunha, and so my hunch would be that they would consider someone with more experience, maybe someone who's a little older than they have been typically aiming for in the recent recruitment phase. So a couple of interesting points there. Firstly, Dean Jones basically saying what I said there before. He's not the profile of striker that we would be going for. Why would we want to get a young developmental striker on loan for 6 months? Makes zero sense in my opinion anyway, and you can share yours in the comments below. But interestingly though, from Dean Jones saying that United potentially would be looking for a striker in January, and that they would consider somebody with more experience, so like an older striker to come in. Could that be because Joshua Zirkzee is maybe wanting to go in January? Obviously, we've been hearing those talks, although those links. Although Ruben Amorim did kind of dismiss it in his press conference, but I don't expect Ruben Amorim to say anything different in a press conference. So when he was asked directly about Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee, who have both been linked with possible moves to January, he was asked, do you understand how difficult it is to please players in terms of their minutes when there's a World Cup next summer? And Amorim responded saying, it is normal. I also know that in our club, everything is a lot of noise, and you have to have news, and players are not playing. They want to play. Like you said, there's a World Cup. There are agents that listen to the players talking all the time. So I understand that, but they are our players, and we need everyone to have a good season. So when he said everyone, what he meant was, because that could be taken out of context, was that he needs the players. He needs to have all of the players to have a good season, not we need everyone to have a good season, although that would be good because we would climb the league very sharply if everyone was having a good season, but that's not possible, is it? Because football players are human beings as well, and we'll have inconsistencies. But Ruben Amorim, going back to Xerxes, he's not going to say anything different in a press conference, is he? But he's aware that players do want minutes because it is a World Cup year. So going back to the story before, interesting that maybe we would be looking at an experienced striker. Could that be because Xerxes would want to go out on loan maybe in January? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Wait and see how that plays out. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. And then the final story I wanted to run through for you is with regards to none other than Mr. Harry Maguire, the man of the moment. This is coming from Simon Stone in the BBC, so a good source, saying that Manchester United's Anfield match winner, Harry Maguire, concedes he does not know if he will still be at the club when they play Liverpool next season, and then goes on to say that Maguire's contract expires at the end of the season, and while it is understood he and his family are settled in the Northwest, is keen to remain at Old Trafford and would be willing to take a pay cut in order to make that happen. As yet, there have been no agreement over a new deal. And then it goes on to say some of Harry Maguire's comments, which I'm going to read out because, you know, it gives me an opportunity to relive that moment in my head. So I've been here several years now, so it's been tough not getting that win. He said, it's been on my mind a little bit, to be honest. I'm in my last year now, so this could be the last time I play at Anfield for this club. So it's really important that I've come here and ticked that one off. So that's what he said after the game, regarding the fact he's been here. Obviously, the amount of times he's lost every game at Anfield, but important for him being in his last year of his contract. But according to Simon Stone, suggesting that he is willing to take a pay cut, and there are rumours of that, aren't they, that we've been going through over the last couple of weeks, potentially being in contract negotiations with Harry Maguire, but they're not going to pay him the sort of money that he's on now. I think he's on like around £190,000 a week, which for somebody of his age, you know, and the fact that he's not guaranteed to be a starter, although he may play certain games, as we've seen against the weekend, and can still do a job. And maybe he's our backup striker. Maybe that's the role he positions to. So when we need a goal in the last 10 minutes of a game, bring on Big H up front for those long balls and those crosses and corners. Maybe he could be our backup striker. We don't need to go for anybody else. We can change his position for the latter stages of his career. I'm obviously joking there as well, but yeah, it's one of those. So if he's prepared to take a pay cut, then maybe that's something that we would look to do. But I'll bring you any updates when they come out. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. And give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.